All right, so we're in the 20s, and we thought we had a new woman at the turn of the century. At the end of the 1890s, early 1900s, the flapper is gonna blow that out of the water. So here in the 20s, this outline is set in the context of we've just gotten through World War One. It was unlike anything anyone could have imagined. We're only in it for a year. We lose over 100,000 people. And then right as the war is nearing its last, kind of its final stages, there's going to be an influenza epidemic, 1918 influenza epidemic, that in the United States alone is going to kill 700,000 people. So more people than died in the US Civil War. And now that you're also experiencing a worldwide pandemic, you may have heard of this one in 1918. Prior to 2020, most students hadn't heard of this 1918 influenza epidemic, but it contributes to, in the 20s, people just wanting to kind of live life like they could die tomorrow because they just witnessed that happen with family and friends in the 1919 influenza epidemic or with World War One. And so there's kind of a do what you will atmosphere in the 20s. And so we're gonna look at first, out of World War One, there's going to be this possibility for job opportunities in the North. And so we're going to see what historians call the Great Migration. And this is the movement of people of color out of the South into the North, into the Midwest, and into the West. Hundreds of thousands of people, easily 500,000 people, are going to leave the South and head north and for more possibilities. We're going to talk about Red Summer, though. We'll see that while life isn't maybe as blatantly racist, it's still difficult to be a person of color and live in the United States. We will talk about the Harlem Renaissance, though, a kind of silver lining of this Great Migration. And then the bulk of this outline is trying to look at that like how different things are for women in the 20s. We'll talk about sexuality. We're going to see sexuality in the context of the flapper. We're going to see sexuality with dating. We also want to talk about women that what's going to happen in this period is sexuality is going to be defined as like normal, what sexuality is normal and what is not. And so we'll talk about how lesbian women fit into these new conversations. We're going to see that the flapper also becomes very connected to consumerism. Again, you know this today in terms of the role of using sexuality to sell products. Miss America pageant. It's not a coincidence that women get the right to vote, or white women get the right to vote in 1920, and then in 1921 we get the Miss America pageant, where we literally put women up against one another, where they're judged solely on how they look. So we'll talk about that. And then finally there, we've got all this conversations about sexuality, but women still don't have control of the reproductive health. So that those discussions about contraception that we looked at way back in the 1830s, 20s with Madame Restell and the Call to Domesticity, we're going to see continue here with Margaret Sanger. And we'll continue the conversation of Margaret Sanger into 1960. Margaret Sanger is actually the person that coins the phrase birth control, but what we associate with birth control, like the pill, that's not available until 1960. So we still got a ways to get there. We're only in 1920. So again, some of these threads are going to continue through. All right, take care.